Good afternoon, Deltas. For that wonderful welcome, and thanks to Cynthia for her warm words and her leadership of this great organization. I love the little joke about the red phone. There's a lot of truth to that. Thanks also to Patricia Watkins-Lattimore, Paulette Walker, and all the members of the Executive Committee and the Executive Board. Thank you, and thank all of the Deltas here today for giving me the chance to be with the women of Delta Sigma Theta. There's a lot of energy in this room. There's also a lot of love, a lot of friendship, and a lot of red. You know, I'm reminded of a poem that our dearly departed friend, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, liked to recite. It was called The Women in My Circle, and it started like this. When I was little, I used to believe in the concept of one best friend. And then I started to become a woman. I found out that if you allow your heart to open up, God would show you the best in many friends. Stephanie was a fierce friend and a proud Delta. She saw the best in me, like she did in all of us. There was nothing she wouldn't do for her sisters. And oh my, was she proud to be a Delta. She understood and so appreciated the bonds that make Delta Sigma Theta such an extraordinary organization. A network now 100 years old that spans generations of women dreaming the same dreams, fighting the same fights, sharing the same sorrows, and rejoicing in the triumphs by joining hands to overcome and achieve. Now, in a week that I know has brought heartache, deep, painful heartache, to many across our country, the solidarity and the solace you find here is all the more important. My prayers are with the Martin family and with every family who loves someone who is lost to violence. No mother, no father should ever have to fear for their child walking down a street in the United States of America. Yesterday, I know you heard from the Attorney General about the next steps from the Justice Department and the need for a national dialogue. As we move forward, as we must, I hope this sisterhood will continue to be a force for justice and understanding. Because as you know, in mathematics, delta means change. I think that's pretty fitting. Because as we can see here at your international celebration and at chapters across the country, the women of Delta are true agents of change, drivers of progress, advocates for a more just, free, and equal society. That's why I love the theme of this celebration, a sisterhood called to serve. That is more than a motto, it is a way of life, and you are doing it every single day. I know that you are working on behalf of children and families to improve education and health care, including, importantly, mental health. Because Delta means change, and this sisterhood serves. I know you are helping women across our country gain the skills and the confidence to start a business, to get a new job, to manage their finances and provide for their families, because Delta means change and this sisterhood serves. I know you are standing up for women's rights and civil rights, the rights of all Americans to vote without fear or discrimination or obstruction. Because today, as it has for a century, Delta means change, and this sisterhood serves. Now, as a senator from New York, I saw what hello, my fellow New Yorkers. I saw what a presence the Deltas could be on Capitol Hill. I saw that red wave marching through the halls of Congress, educating members, participating in hearings, doing everything possible to make a difference and to get the message out. And as Secretary of State, I saw how you extend the Delta mission of social justice around the world, as an official partner at the United Nations, as a generous sponsor of a maternity hospital in Kenya that provides hundreds of women each day with crucial prenatal care, immunizations for children, training nurses and midwives. You know how important that is, because around the world still today we lose nearly 1,000 women in childbirth every single day. Now, I don't know how many of you are in this great hall, maybe 15, 18, 20,000 I was told, but think if you left 1,000 women behind as they had died in childbirth. I also understand that on Saturday you welcomed my friend and former colleague, Suzanne Johnson Cook, our ambassador at large to international relations, honorary Think about it. So much of what we struggle with in the world today is because of misunderstanding and discrimination about religion. So thank you for recognizing this. So yes, Delta means change, but it also means progress and justice and integrity and faith and family and community. I know that because over the years I've had the privilege to learn from quite a few Delta women who embodied those values. Women like Daisy Bates, who led the fight to integrate the schools in Little Rock. She became a great friend to my husband and me in Arkansas. Or, hello Arkansas! Or like the irreplaceable Dr. Dorothy Height. Delta Sigma Theta, a legend of the civil rights movement. She loved this organization so much, and oh, she was so proud of your work. I first met Miss Height, that's what we always called her, back when I was just out of school and working for another fiercely courageous Delta, Marion Wright Edelman, at the Children's Defense Fund. Delta way. She was elegant, but with no airs. Brilliant, without a trace of arrogance. Passionate, but never overheated. And of course, she was always the best dressed person in the room. Jaunty and stylish in her hat and pearls. Even when it got hard for her to move around, she would show up in a wheelchair and look better than anybody else. She spent much of her later years sitting down, but she was never sitting still. Because when she made up her mind to do something, there was no stopping her. I will always remember when she and a group of other leaders, including Dr. C. Dolores Tucker and Deltas like E. Faye Williams and the National Congress of Black Women, came to me and to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. And they said to us that it was high time the U.S. Capitol building should have a statue of the pioneering African-American suffragette Sojourner Truth. She belonged right there in the Capitol alongside other national heroes. Now, you would think this wouldn't be too controversial. Sojourner Truth, after all, is an icon of American history and our long march to try to achieve a more perfect union. But it turns out it's hard to get Congress to do just about anything. And so, we faced one delay after another. Lesser women would have been discouraged, settled for less, or just given up, but that's not the Delta way, and it sure wasn't Miss Heights way. So she kept pushing me and calling. She'd call up and say, well, are we making progress, Hilary? And I'd say, oh, Miss Hyde, I don't know. We've got so much to overcome. She, well, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. So it took us years, but we finally did it. And on a wonderful day in 2009, we gathered in the Capitol for the unveiling. Cicely Tyson, another proud Delta, a recent Emmy winner, recited Sojourner Truth's famous speech delivered in a crowded church in Akron, Ohio in 1851. Ain't I a woman, she said. She insisted that the cause of women's rights and civil rights were indivisible. You could not be for one and not the other. You couldn't give the vote to just some women or just some African Americans. Our democracy belongs to all of us, and it needs to protect and serve every citizen. We are all more free when every one of us is free. We all have more opportunity when everyone has opportunity. That was Sojourner Truth's mission. That was Dorothy Heights' mission, and it must remain our mission today because, as we know, the work is far from over. Just a few weeks ago, a narrow majority of the Supreme Court struck at the heart of the Voting Rights Act. For more than 4 decades, this law has helped overcome unconstitutional barriers to voting. Again and again, it has demonstrated its essential role in protecting our fundamental freedoms. Now, some take the historic success of the Voting Rights Act as a sign that we no longer need its protections. But as Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, that's like throwing away your umbrella in a rainstorm because you are not getting wet. So